Hi guys, here is a quick overview of what I consider to be the best Fire Tonfa build in terms of offense and defense. I consider it to be one of the strongest builds going right now that isn't abusing anima mechanics and the like. So let's get right into it. We're using the gun sticks. Other weapons can inherit Tonfa gun, however these have the highest base attack of any Tonfa I've found anyways, so they make a great choice. Um, Now, this build has insane sustain as well as defense mixed in with its attack, and we're going to get into why that is. Life Drain melee attack is a critical part of the sustain. You should have that in there. Imbue Fire critical, I have scaling attack bonus with Constitution because I have Constitution maxed. You could obviously do Courage if you were a lower level. We spend all of our time in high stance, so high guard key and high attack key consumption are great things to have. So I chose those, and burn accumulation is a must-have. We're using the red demon set. It doesn't matter what the stats are on the spear. We don't care about the spear fall damage. However, the other bonuses are phenomenal for us, especially the key recovery speed. 20% is insane, along with other boosts we're going to be getting, which we will get into. And this set is just amazing. It's a light set, but I'm gonna show you how to make it tanky. We're using the Warrior of the West bow just for life. We're using the Raven Ring rifle. This is actually scaled to courage. We use this to actually shoot people. Now what's important about your weapon in the primary slot is that it has the damage bonus agility A. This does apply to your main weapon, so make sure you have that. And again, this set bonus is kind of whatever. However, this gun is scaled for courage and does great damage, and that's what it's for. It's for using. We use the Suya helmet for fire damage. Toughness and defense on every piece is non-negotiable. Key is obviously nice. All of your purples are nice, taken while gardening, along with winded and things like this. Faster winded recovery, etc. are very good to have. Life and attack on every piece. Again, kind of a no-brainer. Here's another part of a critical part of our sustain, which is Amrita absorption on the chest. You need to have this, in my opinion. I take a defense bonus based on my Amrita gauge. It's easy to have your Amrita gauge full, and it's a nice defensive buff. And again, life, attack, simple. I'm slotting some purples here because there's no relevant damage skills for this build. So, and again, toughness, defense, attack, life, toughness, defense, attack, life, and I'm taking dodge and dash key consumption on these pieces just to make it a little more snappy, although it hardly needs it in that we are in A agility. The Megatana is, of course, required for any build. Defense bonus courage is massive. You can see that this Megatana has a whopping 190 defense. That is because of this defense bonus to courage. And again, another critical part of our sustain will be life recovery on both pieces. You can roll elemental damage on the Megatama, so I recommend that to boost our fire a bit. I use the Wise General's Pillbox because I like faster key recovery. I like trying to be as unreliant on magic as possible, and this build actually is incredibly unreliant on magic, which we will get into more shortly. Burn accumulation is critical on both of these pieces as well. You know, life's good. Defense bonus courage is non-negotiable. You need to have this. It's so good. These things have massive defense. Now let's get into our spirit, which is Tengen. Tengen is the best spirit in the game. I wish we could use a fire spirit and it was better than this, but it's not. Because of the stance-based Amrita bonus, you may be familiar with this already. When you are in high stance, which we always are, you get a damage buff every time you gain Amrita. And it's a huge attack buff that I haven't been able to match any other way. In terms of our cores, we slot in Shoot and Doji, which also increases our defense on Amrita absorption. So now we're getting buffed attack and buffed defense on Amrita absorption. If you feel like abusing Otakimaru here, you can. I don't like doing that. It's more I like fighting things, so I don't have that slotted, but you could. Onryuki is amazing because he gives minus 10% damage taken mid-attack. I really like that. And then Infernal Oni B just gives us a bit of elemental damage. And again, when it comes to not being reliant on magic, we can use this. If you use this ability, you get a free fire paper on your weapon. Now that said, we will still be using magic, but in a pinch, this can apply fire and it can apply it very quickly. Now let's get into a bit more detail here. First of all, I want to talk about scaling.
Welcome.
So on your weapon, when you are remodeling, there's an option, for example on my gun sticks here. When you are looking at these specializations, you will want to remodel this weapon. However, if you have my stats where you have both courage and constitution maxed, you can do dual scaling, which is something a lot of people don't know. If you press triangle on one of these and then highlight another one, you get both scaling. I have scaling A- in both constitution and courage. Now, in an endgame state where you have both of those maxed, that is a little bit more attack power, which is pretty cool, right? The other thing is, I have all of these light armor pieces remodeled with reinforce. This makes them heavier. You don't need to do this if you're lower level. However, if you are higher level, I would recommend doing this, and then using your stamina to adjust the weight back to A. This just gives you more defense, the cost of a bit of weight, but that's fine.
Come by again.
If you look at my stats, here's my stats. So I have 99 in Constitution, 99 in Courage, 28 in Heart for Guardian Spirit requirements, 29 in Stamina to get us back to A Agility, and 50 in Magic, and that's simply so that our Magic lasts a bit longer. If you look at our defense, we have a whopping 2,660 defense with no buffs in a light A set, which is insane. And I've shown you a lot of that comes from the scaling on our accessories. Now our toughness is only at a B. I've put toughness wherever I can. I wish you could get it higher, but there has to be some advantage to high armor, and that is you get better toughness, and there's only so much a light set like this can compensate for that. We have a really healthy amount of life as well as ki. From here, I'm just going to continue to dump points into Magic up to 300 just to continue to increase the duration on buffs. Now, as far as the secondary spirit goes, I know we didn't talk about that. I'm getting additional less damage taken mid-attack, which does stack with the Unruki less attack. So we're using Inusaso, which is strictly just, again, we're trying to mix offense and defense here as much as possible. In terms of what Jitsu I'm using, and again, this is largely personal preference. The only things I would say that are non-negotiable are an extraction talisman. So because we have many effects, we buff our attack on Amrita absorption, we buff our defense on Amrita absorption. It's important we are absorbing Amrita, and the extraction talisman allows us to do that. I'm also using things like barrier and rejuvenation, sloth and weakness, all the kind of standard stuff, but that's mostly flavor, and it's actually not really needed for the build. When you absorb Amrita with this setup, you're getting an attack boost, you get a defense boost, and then because of the Wise General's Pillbox, which is the second accessory here, we get faster ki recovery buff when we use medicine. On top of that, we can self-buff with our own fire papers from Infernal Oni B. So you can see how even without magic, we are pretty much getting everything we need: an attack buff, a defense buff, a ki recovery buff, in addition to the ki recovery from the set, as well as the ability to apply a stronger fire paper to our weapon. So I don't think I've missed anything at this point. I will answer questions in the comments, and we will quickly just go into the highest level mission in the game, and I will show you just how tanky and just how much damage this setup does. I don't expect to go through a ton of gameplay here. We're not going to go crazy. I don't think it really needs much for you to see the power of this. So we're fast, we're A agility, but we're tanky. We have 5,000 health. Our ki recovery is off the charts. Like, so a lot of times people don't talk about the actual. See, here's me getting smoked by like the hardest mobs in the game. Absolutely smoked by them. You can see just how tanky we are. And on top of that, we burnt to death because of our immense fire damage. On top of that, we're self-sustaining. You can see the green numbers rolling in whenever we're attacking. So I haven't cast a spell yet, but look at my buff bar, right? Good things are happening. Trying to think if there's any other nuances we should be talking about, but I think we're doing a good job covering this. So a lot of well, that's what I was going to say. Something that people don't talk about in the build videos much is exactly what your bread and butter combo is. With Tonfa, it is square, 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 triangle, triangle to get the gunstick blow. Now, when you are as scaled as I am, one of the problems is you never get to finish your combo. It's very sad. Like, most things will not survive your initial attacks. Our damage is outrageous. And again, I hope you are impressed by just how tanky we are for being in an A agility light armor set. So again, that's square, 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 triangle, triangle. The second triangle is quick, it just blows off the gun sticks. Now I could be buffing this our damage higher. See if at this point I could use my Infernal. Boom, I just buffed my damage immensely because I just used a free fire paper. I mean, just complete devastation. Yeah. But you know what this has, why I consider this build to be so incredibly strong is that we are so well scaled with our damage reduction while attacking. Our defense is ridiculously high for a light armor set. Our toughness is reasonable as it can be. I do not believe there's any way I can increase my toughness further. And our damage doesn't suffer for it. Like, as you can see, I cannot even finish a combo on these mobs. And the fire damage itself, if you're watching the orange numbers specifically, is pretty outrageous. But also our self-sustain. Our 3 pieces of Amrita absorption are just magic. You know? Like, everything just melts. And see, there you go. There's a spear hit. Fully buffed. You can see how look at how little these things are. High damage mobs, right? With my defense buff on, I'm not using any magic. This is just innate, and that's not while attacking. That's how hard he hits for. I'm getting an additional like 15% less damage if I'm in the middle of an attacking hit, just like I just was there. So you know this build is incredibly beefy, along with its damage output, along with its A agility. And it's not abusing any of the broken mechanics. It's not, you know, again, even the magic, I mean, it obviously, other than the extraction talisman to ensure you are absorbing Amrita on bosses, everything here is entirely optional. So I guess I will just finish the boss off. I mean, not that we aren't, but. And the self-sustain is great. Like, you are not going to be crushing through your elixirs playing with this setup. Ooh, one combo. And you don't have to play perfectly with this build. I know I don't. I'm not the best Nioh player in the world. I make mistakes. And it doesn't matter, because we have the defense and we have the self-sustain. Man, look at all that damage we took. It's very unfortunate. And burnt to death. You love to see it. It is pretty reasonable to fish for the back with Tonfa. See, you can see just how how outrageous the numbers are. Especially if I use a pillbox right now, you can also see how insane my key recovery is. Look at that. I'm not even gonna key pulse. It's hard for me to even spend all of my key. Like I have to try, and I won't key pulse. And look at our key recovery, right? So that's all. I will answer any questions and comments. I think I've covered mostly everything except for, you know, skills and stuff like that, but I'm going to assume you have a base knowledge of that, and if you have questions, I will answer them, and hopefully this video helps somebody.